and he knows what he did. You suck, Usopp. It's kind of like you're smiling to prevent yourself from crying. Useless. All this crap is just swirling around this plot like it's a giant toilet. Cauliflower. Hey, what's up? It's me, Meanie Mosey, and thank you everyone for your patience. This is my Water 7 review. There are three main conflicts that we have to deal with. The first one is the state of the Mary. Obviously, it's not good. The second conflict is the stolen berries, the case of the stolen berries, which I will lump in with Usopp's pride and Usopp's character. And then the last conflict is Robin's leaving the Straw Hat crew combined with CP9. All these conflicts are intricately woven into one giant mess. We're gonna start with one of the two main reasons why they came to the island in the first place. They need a shipwright. So far, the crew consists of Luffy, future king of the pirates, Zoro, future world's greatest swordsman, Nami, navigator extraordinaire, Usopp, Sanji, an amazing chef who also kicks things, Chopper, who's a doctor and also a blue-nosed reindeer, and Robin, an archaeologist who can understand dead languages, and she also does her little hand thing that she does. We know that whoever joins the crew next is going to be an interesting person, to say the least. What does Oda do? He creates a whole entire crowd of interesting people, and all these shipwrights that we meet have a thing. There's the one that talks with the bird, there's the one with the long square nose, there's Polly does a rope thing. Every single person that we meet that is a shipwright is interesting enough to be on the crew, and he knows what he did. He did that on purpose. Moving on, the gold negotiation, the second reason why they showed up. They roll up to the bank with all of the gold that they had from Skypiea, and they need to get it appraised so that they can trade in for berries. And so the appraiser, he's like, I can give you guys like 100,000 berries. Not 100,000, 100 million berries. Usopp and Luffy are just like hee-heeing and ha-haing in the corner, just talking about, ooh, we got 100 million berries. And then Nami, she's just like stone-faced the whole entire time. And as soon as Luffy's about to sign for it, she literally puts her foot down on the table and is like, don't lie to us. Long story short, they end up walking out of the bank with 300 million berries. Nami knows her money, proving once again that out of all of the mistakes that Luffy's made so far, choosing his crewmates is not one of them. After they trade in the gold, they go to the shipyard. Well, they know the Mary needs repairs. They know that she's kind of jacked up. And so they go to assess how much it'll cost to get the Mary repaired, how long it'll take. The shipwright looks at him, the one with the long square nose, and he comes back and pretty much tells him that the Mary's totaled. Like, she's not going to sail to the next island in one piece. The keel was busted, and the keel is like the backbone of the whole entire ship. It wasn't a matter of money or time or the lack of either of those options. It just wasn't going to happen. And that brings us to Luffy's leadership. This was a really tough call for Luffy. At first, he was adamant that they were going to keep sailing the Mary, and like, because that was their ship, like they can't just like abandon it just because the world's greatest shipwright tells them that they can't anymore. But he was like, we're gonna keep sailing on the Mary. And then Iceberg, the mayor of the town, he was like, so this is the decision of the crew's captain. This shows that Luffy is being called to make these difficult decisions. He's called to not be so childish anymore, and he's the only one who can make this decision because he's the captain. He has the option of either buying a new ship or sailing the Mary until it sinks with him and his crew on it. And it's not like he hasn't done anything to endanger the crew before. It's just that in this case, the enemy that is responsible for the crew's downfall is not some like crocodile. It's not anyone specific. It would be Luffy's own childish stubbornness and his childish sentimentality that would put the whole entire crew's lives at risk. Conveniently, Usopp is not present to hear the shipwright tell them this. He is busy getting beaten up in a back alley. In this arc, Usopp comes face to face with his own weakness. And it's not even that he's weak, it's just that he's strong in areas that are not obvious when he compares himself to his other crewmates. Usopp has skills as a sniper, a trickster, / liar, and an inventor, but those skills were not useful at all when he got ambushed by the Franky family. When Nami finds him, he says, "I am so ashamed, how can I face the others?" Because he lost 200 million berries. So instead of sitting around and waiting to be rescued, he goes and he decides to go fight and take on the Franky family by himself. Yeah, he gets the crap beat out of him, and Franky is just like, "I can't believe that Luffy would let a weakling like you join his crew." Salt in the wound, just rub it in just like a little bit more, just like, "You suck, Usopp." When the crew finds Usopp lying unconscious on the beach, like, they don't even need to speak. Like, it's the same scene from when Nami finally asked for help with Arlong. They see him, they all look at each other, no words, they all just go, and then they raise the place. They take it down to the foundation, and they just beat every single body in there. After that, Luffy makes his decision that he's going to buy a new ship. After they finish destroying the Franky house, they take Usopp back to the Mary, and Usopp wakes up, and Luffy has to deliver the news that is the trash frosting on top of the trash cake of a day that Usopp has had. Luffy made the responsible decision to buy a new ship. It was a difficult decision to make, but he made it. He has to explain this to Usopp, who is perhaps the most attached to the ship. Usopp's current state of mind is a mix of 4 different ingredients that, when combined, make up his direct opposition to Luffy's decision. 1, they got the ship from Usopp's friend Kaya. It was a gift back on Syrup Village. Number 2, he has been the main one to take care of the ship so far. He's not a shipwright, but he's the most shipwrighty person that they have. 3, the ship told him. He doesn't know it was a ship that told him this at the time, but he just knows that he heard a voice that said, "I'm gonna last a little bit longer for you," coming from the Mary. So he has this whole intuition thing going on. And then number 4, he just lost 200 million berries, so he feels responsible for any problems that they are having right now. Luffy is trying his best to be positive about the situation. He starts explaining it with a smile on his face. It's kind of like you're smiling to prevent yourself from crying, but he's just like, "Hey, so we're gonna get a new ship. Look at all these ships that we can get. They're so nice. We can get this one. This one's a little bit bigger. We can get all these nice new ships with the 100 million berries that we have. Isn't that great, Usopp?" He's trying to explain it in a way that won't make Usopp feel worse than he already does. But Usopp is not having it. Usopp is upset with himself, and he's upset with the situation, so he lashes out at Luffy. He hits him where it hurts, pretty much calls him childish, saying that he's already out shopping for a new toy, as if Luffy just wants to go get a new ship just for funsies because he can afford it now. Luffy gets pissed because he's trying really hard to not be childish right now. He's trying really hard to make the right decision, and he's still getting called childish. The decision sucks for him too, and it sucks for everybody, but he's just trying to protect his crew. That's all that he's trying to do. Usopp is arguing on the side of faith and trust, which thus far has taken them from the East Blue to the Grand Line to the sky and back again. While faith and trust has worked in this world, Luffy is now realizing that as the captain, he does not have the luxury of believing in those things all the time. Buying a new ship is the only 100% guarantee of the safety of the crew's transportation. The lives of his crew are the one thing that he has taken responsibility for throughout this whole entire show. In every situation that they've gotten into, Luffy has protected them. And so it's wrong for him to put them in danger when there's no active enemy against them. Luffy says, "It's my call, I stand by it," and honestly, good for him that he did that. He's growing stronger in his leadership. My favorite part of the argument is when Luffy almost kicks Usopp out of the crew by himself. He says, "If you don't like it, then you can leave." He almost says it, and then Sanji kicks Luffy across the room. He says, like, "Calm down before you say something that you can't take back," which again emphasizes the importance of words in this show that I like so much. But yeah, if Luffy kicked Usopp out of the crew, that would be entirely different than Usopp leaving by himself, which he did. I noticed before that Usopp was already saying when Aokiji visited, he said something along the lines of like, "Is this just how it's gonna be? Are we just gonna keep fighting bigger and bigger enemies? Because I don't know how much it can take." And then Zoro just pretty much said, "Hey, just go to sleep." This fight was inevitable. The Mary was just a final straw. He was already feeling inadequate and he just needed a reason to go. And losing the crew 2/3 of the money that they just earned was enough of a reason. He says, "I was lucky to make it this far," and then he leaves, but not before challenging Luffy to a duel for the Mary. His leaving was more him looking down on himself and feeling that he's not worthy to stand beside the Straw Hat crew, which is kind of like Robin's conflict. There are some parallels, but it's different entirely. The government doesn't want Usopp. I don't know who wants Usopp. Just kidding, I want you, Usopp. It's actually kind of a lot like Robin's conflict, but that's for a whole another day, maybe the next video. The Luffy and Usopp fight. Okay. The physical fight, their fight was really, really heartbreaking. It's just so upsetting because the fact that Usopp held his own in his own way that he fights, that was heartbreaking. He used everything that he had. He used all of his tricks. He used his lies. He used the impact dial. And Luffy had to beat him because Luffy can. He couldn't just get beat by Usopp just to be nice about it, because that would just make things worse. He had to beat him in order to maintain Usopp's dignity. The whole thing paired with like the flashbacks of him like joining the crew and them having fun on the crew was just so sad and upsetting, because this whole thing is just Usopp's pride, and he's just like I don't want to be weak anymore. But the thing is, you're not weak. You're strong in a different way, but you can't see it. Like, ugh. And then at the end of the fight, Luffy says, "So long. It was fun while it lasted," which is just heartbreaking, because if Usopp was good for anything, it was for comic relief. And it was like Usopp was, I think it was Luffy's best friend on the crew. It was like, because everyone else is older than him. Usopp's the only one who's around his same age. You always see them goofing off together. So I think as far as like compatibility, of course Luffy likes hanging out with everybody, but just like to have like the same brain waves, the same dumb energy. Usopp was the one that met Luffy at that level. And so he said it was fun while it lasted. Chopper tries to heal Usopp because he's a sweetheart, and Sanji stops him. And then when Luffy's returning to the ship, he says it's too much. Luffy's had a hard day too. He's had to decide to let go of the ship. He's had to argue with and fight one of his best friends. So he says it's too much. And then Zoro responds, "This is what it means to be captain." He said that if Luffy isn't confident in himself and his own decisions, then who can the crew put their faith in? I'd like to point out that Zoro's been quiet this whole time. The camera's gone to him, but he hasn't had to say anything. He hasn't had to correct anyone with the sort of Zoro wisdom that he has, apparently. But throughout the whole debacle, he hasn't had to say a single word to Luffy about his decisions, because Luffy's been making the right decisions on his own, and that just shows how much that Luffy has grown. But yeah, Luffy has to decide at times in between being a captain and being a friend. He always has to put being a captain first, because he's their only captain. After that, there's all this drama. There is no rest. The next episode, it picks up. Robin shot the mayor last night. They're blaming the Straw Hat crew. Okay, Franky is pissed that his house got torn down and his family got beat up, so he goes and he kidnaps Usopp. Aqua Laguna is coming, giant tsunami. Skip ahead a little bit to the night when CP9 is going to invade the mayor's mansion or wherever he lives. Luffy jumps the gun and gets stuck in between two buildings because he's a pendejo like that, and because he was there from the if Luffy was there from the beginning, then Robin wouldn't have even been taken to Enies lobby ever. Oda does this over and over again. He says, oh, the big battle's about to start? Let me make the main character useless. Let me just get him out of the way. Okay, now we're gonna have everyone else start everything off while he just goes and screws around. I don't know. It doesn't get old ever. He's been doing this since the first episode. He's just like, okay, Luffy go off, do something. Luffy gets stuck in a lake. Luffy get crushed by a building. Luffy get stuck in between two buildings. Luffy go underwater and almost drown, have them hold your head up above water. We're just going to incapacitate the crap out of you so you can't do a single thing. And it fits because his personality is just so like that. That's just such a Luffy thing to do. And this whole entire thing, all this crap is just swirling around this plot like it's a giant toilet. There's so much to address, but I'm just going to skip around to the CP9 betrayal and the Franky not being evil, switcheroo type thing. I've seen a lot of people mention how they took the shipwrights and turned them into bad guys, but nobody talks about how they took Franky, the guy who's in charge of the family that beat up Usopp twice, spent all their money, peeled off a chunk of the Mary, and he takes Franky, that dude, and by the end of the arc, him and his family, we end up not hating them, maybe even liking them. And that's a feat on its own. But anyway, we're gonna talk about CP9. Remember all of those interesting shipwrights? They weren't just used to tease who the next crewmate would be. They were all bad guys, except for Polly and the little hair guy thing, including Khalifa, who up until I was well into Enies lobby, I thought her name was Cauliflower. I don't know. Leave me alone. I'm Southern. Cauliflower. Anyway, we do not let interesting character design go to waste. He took all those people and was like, okay, now you're evil. And now, like, they're just not interesting for no reason. They're interesting because they're government spies. That's pretty great. After that, after we learn that CP9 is after the Pluton weapon thing, we hear Franky's backstory. And it's an awesome story, and Franky, it talks about how Franky had to learn how to take ownership of his own art and of his own creations. It really resonated with me because it's so easy to think that like the things that you make and the things that you write are just like mediocre or inadequate. But I think it was a nice little message that I would not be surprised if it got expanded upon later in the story. As soon as they did the backstory though, I knew like Franky was going to be more important. That had me questioning some stuff. And so once they give a character a backstory, you know, like they gonna stick around. So anyway, skip ahead a little bit more. Nami is talking with Iceberg later after they're outside of the burning mansion building thing, and Iceberg tells him that Robin didn't betray them. Robin was actually working with CP9 in order to save the Straw Hats, and I just thought that was such a wonderful moment when Robin just started smiling. She's like, I'm so happy that she didn't betray us. Now we know what we're fighting for. We only need motivation. And then Iceberg's like, what are you talking about? We lost. And she's like, we haven't even started fighting yet. That's such a Straw Hat thing to say. Okay, skipping around. The names of the two little Sea King monsters of the Franky family, their names are Sodom and Gomorrah, and I think that's really funny. Going on the sea train over to Enies lobby because they're transporting Robin and Franky to Enies lobby. Sanji and Zoro just slicing through trains like it's no problem. They cutting water in half anyway. And then skip ahead a little bit more all the way to Sniper King, Soga King, Sniper King. I watched whatever. It's just, oh my gosh. Sniper King is the result of Usopp's pride being equal to the love that he has for his friends. He can't show his face around them anymore, but he cannot sit back and let Robin get taken. And so he puts on a mask and he joins the fight, and he has his own theme song that is absolutely wonderful and ridiculous. Everything ends with CP9 ending up at Eni's lobby with Franky and Robin, and the Straw Hats are on the way to go save them. Even after all that, there's so much I haven't mentioned. If you haven't noticed by now, I'm more of a character and theme type of person rather than a plot person, but the plot of this arc, the history, the motivations of each side, the poneglyphs, the blueprints, the people being dangerous because of the things that they might do and the power that they might have. It's all just, oh my gosh. It's all wonderful. But I am acknowledging the greatness of all of that. Thank you so much for watching. Honestly, this show has been one of the best things that has happened to me this year. Just finding this show, enjoying the storytelling from it. I'm really excited that this is a part of my life now, and I'm really excited to keep watching it. If you like this video, then like this video, leave a comment, subscribe, maybe, possibly. Again, I've been Meanie Mosey, and I'll catch you guys next time.